Imagine waking up and seeing that the S&P 500 is the lowest that it's been since November of last year. Imagine seeing Nasdaq was just at a record high in December and all of a sudden you're 10% down. Imagine you look on social media, news reports, everywhere, and all you're seeing is tariffs, and the stock market is crashing. Well, guys, the S&P 500 is down. The Nasdaq is down. Dow Jones is down. But that doesn't mean that you have to be. In this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly what a tariff is, exactly what countries are being affected, and most importantly, what you're here for. Should I still be investing? All right, now let's get into it, guys. What is a tariff? All a tariff is a tax that the government can place on imported or exported goods. Now, a tariff is usually a percentage of a value of a good. What that means is if you are trying to import a $10 good, you will be charged an additional $2 to import that good into the country. This will usually get paid for by the consumer. See, when countries import goods and they have to pay additional tariffs, what that means is that the companies that are buying these goods from these countries have to raise their prices. Who are they raising their prices to? Us, the consumer. So therefore, if you go and you pay for an avocado, and let's say it was $2 at one point, well, due to certain tariffs, it could be $2.75. Now, I know 75 cents doesn't mean a lot to you, but 75 cents on every single product that you are buying from here on out, well, that adds up. So next, why did Trump decide to go ahead with these tariffs? All right, it's simple. Trump wants to boost the economy. He feels like the tax that is paid by other countries for importing their goods into our country can be used to help bolster our economy. He also wants to boost U.S. manufacturing. That way it can protect jobs. So for this example, you would think of a company that is in another country that wants to export their goods from their country and import them into our country. So in order to do so, they have to pay higher tariffs, which is a tax. Instead, Trump wants to incentivize them to go ahead and start manufacturing whatever products or business that they're doing instead of over there, here in the United States. Therefore, that supplies us with more jobs and it gives them a business tax incentive since they would not have to be worrying about importing goods and paying higher tariffs. Now, I personally don't know if that would be cheaper or higher from them. That is not the purpose of this video. But I am going to explain to you why he would want to incentivize them to put businesses here and what that would mean for our economy. I try to keep everything simple, so just think of it like this. More businesses here equate to more jobs here, which equates to more money here, which means we can spend more and bolster the economy. We want to do well, and that is Trump's goal. Now let's start with China. February 4th, Trump imposed a 10% tax on all imported goods from China. March 4th, he decided to go ahead and add an additional 10% tax on all imported goods from China. Now, the way they will be exempt is if they sent over a shipment that was less than $800. That would not have a tariff tax of 20%. Naturally, China was upset about this. So they decided to impose a 15% tax on all American agricultural goods that come into China. Think of wheat, think of soybeans, things like that. Chicken, fish, everything in that nature can be taxed up to 15% more. A Chinese diplomat, Lin Jian, I might have messed up that name, went on to say exactly this. If war is what the U.S. wants, be it a tariff war, a trade war, or any type of war, we're ready to fight till the end. Strong words from China, but reasonably so. We've gone ahead and imposed a 20% tariff on them, and they don't want to look weak. So now we have Canada. Trump imposed a 25% tariff on all goods imported into the United States, as well as 10% on energy resources imported into the United States. I had to look it up, guys, because I honestly didn't know we were using energy from Canada. Canada supplies 30% of our electricity. Now, Justin Trudeau, Canada's prime minister, spoke and said Trump is a very intelligent man, but this was a dumb thing to do. even by going as far as to say that he's trying to collapse the Canadian economy and annex them. Now, for those of you who don't know what annex means, that basically means that a country would take over another country's land, sometimes by force. That's a bold statement from our northern neighbors. So, once again, Canada was naturally upset about this tariff. So what did they decide to do? Well, they said that they were going to go ahead and put a tax on over $30 billion worth of American goods that are coming into Canada. Also, there will be an additional $125 billion worth of goods that will be coming into Canada over the next 20 to 21 days. That's a lot of imported goods and money that we're going to have to pay tax on if this stays in place. They even threatened to cut away the electricity help that they give to New York, Minnesota, and Michigan if tariffs continue to increase. These are some big threats, guys. Now, the last country that we have hit is Mexico. Mexico was also hit with a 25% tariff on March 4th. Now, before this, it's important to note that President Trump and the President of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, they reached an agreement that Trump could send 10,000 National Guard members to the Mexican-U.S. border. Now, what was the point of this? For Mexico, it was the fact that they wanted to stop high-powered weapons being imported into Mexico. Now, for our benefit, we wanted to stop drugs from entering the United States. As you all know, we've had several thousands of fentanyl overdoses in 2024. And I can tell you, as an ICU nurse, I have seen a ton. But he wants to go ahead and stop these drug deaths, particularly fentanyl, from entering into the United States. So it's supposed to be a win-win. But when Trump hit her with these 25% tariffs, she was pretty upset about this, making a statement saying, we want respect from our northern neighbor. So she decided that on March 9th, this upcoming Sunday, she will do tariff and non-tariff retaliation. We have to wait to see what that is, guys. Now, there is a couple more things that should be worth mentioning, okay? Now, one thing is the auto market. Trump gave a 1-month exemption for Northern American automakers because they will feel a hit from this. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, why would they feel a hit from this? Well, it comes to find out that when you're making a piston, now pistons go into the engine, those things that you see kind of go back and forth like that, apparently it starts in Tennessee. Then it moves to Pennsylvania. Then it goes across the border to Canada. Directly from Canada, across the border into the United States, across the border into Mexico. Directly from Mexico, across the border into the United States, into Michigan, to where they can be formed together and start to create the engine. Guys, I did not know this. But most importantly, man, do you see how many times this one piece of the vehicle has to go from the United States into Canada, in the United States, into Mexico, into the United States? Probably even more than that. I did not know that. And economists are even saying that if these tariffs stay in place, it can increase car prices by almost $3,000. That's a big deal. And because that's a big deal, and because the fact that we know that Trump is trying to go ahead and bolster U.S. manufacturing and U.S. job markets, we saw an increase in Ford, 5%. We saw an increase in General Motors for 7%. I mean, people are watching the market, and you should be too. Now, the second thing that I was going to go over is the steel and aluminum being taxed, okay? He's imposing a 25% tariff on these two starting March 12th. Why is this a big deal? Okay, 2 out of 3 of our top 3 steel importers are our neighbors, Canada and Mexico, okay? Canada is our largest steel importer. 6 million tons of steel, guys, were imported in 2024 by Canada. So naturally, they are upset about an additional 25% tax that they have to pay to bring that in. So with that being said, now you can understand why there is such a big commotion about all these tariffs. It's affecting not only the United States, but tons of countries. So it is a headline that is getting talked about everywhere worldwide. Okay, now to the biggest question. Should you be investing, right? Look, I don't know about you guys, but when I hear about the S&P 500 being down, that gets me excited. Why? The S&P 500 contains 500 of the U.S. largest companies. Why would I not be excited about these big businesses that are essentially on sale, okay? A safe way you can do this is to buy a fund that has a collection of these stocks. It mimics the S&P 500. One fund can be SPY. Another fund called VTI follows the total market index. These are safe ways in this type of market to go ahead and make sure that you are still buying quality companies at discounts. Now, number one, guys, you should have some type of diversification, right? Diversification just means that you don't have all of your eggs in one basket. You want to have different type of assets. That way you can always win. Remember, when something loses, something else is winning. So right now, what is winning is actually gold and real estate. But that does not mean that you cannot find quality companies that you can invest in for the cheap and ride them up. We just had a similar situation to this March 2020. People were panicking, selling off their stocks because of the pandemic. A couple months later, we were bouncing back up. Now, people who sold, they were absolutely going insane, and I do feel sorry for them, but that is a lesson learned that, hey, we cannot be emotional investors. Remember, you are investing for the long term. You want to grow your wealth. You should not be investing anything that you will need in the next 3 to 5 years. So with that being said, markets go up and they go down. That is part of the economy. There are plenty bear markets, and there have been about 25 of them over the past 100 years. It happens. But there are bull markets as well, and that is usually what follows a bear market. And with that being said, I am not a financial advisor. Everything here is for educational and entertainment purposes only. If you're going to invest money, yes, you should do your own research and consult a financial professional. I can only tell you what I would do, which is not necessarily what you should do, but I'm just letting you know that myself, you always want to hedge against anything. Right now, gold is up. So if you were invested in gold, you would be still winning while also still accumulating stocks. What about the real estate market? It's gone up. So you're winning in all sectors, okay? And most importantly, don't forget to invest in yourself, okay? Businesses, content creation, side hustles, whatever it is, even knowledge, like you watching this video right now, you now know what a tariff is. You now know what countries it's affecting. You now know who in the countries are specifically upset. You now know what goods are getting imported from the countries and what goods we import to them. Hey, it only takes a few minutes to better yourself. And if you get in reputation of doing that, that's the biggest investment of all. So to answer your question, yes, you should be investing. You should always be investing, okay? There are going to be gems here. And one gem that I could think of might be with logistics, right? If we are going to be producing more products here, manufacturing more products here, well, then they need to get transported to different businesses here because now it's going to be more expensive to get these same products from other countries. So what will boom here? Some type of logistics company. I don't know. I can't tell you specifically. So maybe you invest in a fund that might cater towards that. But I'm just letting you know that, hey, when you look at these type of situations, there's always a winner and there's always a loser. And it's important to make sure that you're figuring out who that is. But don't forget, you can always just kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. Invest in funds and you don't have to worry about anything because these have quality companies and they always trend upwards. The S&P 500 has averaged almost 10% since 1926. How much proof do you need? Now, it is worth mentioning that as of today, March 6, 2025, Trump has lifted the tariffs that he imposed on Mexico and Canada, okay? Now, this is on a mutual agreement of goods and products that they have gone ahead and discussed. I don't know the particular of these, but this has come out. But what I can tell you is this is a temporary relief until April 2nd. What he's really trying to do now is look at other countries that he can increase tariffs on. So, that doesn't mean that this is going away forever, but right now it is lifted. We can't be emotional. The stock market tends to be an emotional place with emotional people, and emotional people do not last here, okay? We have already had conviction. We know what company we love because we've done research on this company, right? You shouldn't be investing in anything that you don't have any knowledge of or haven't done any research on. So if you've done this research, why would that stop you from investing in this company that you know is a great company, or this fund that you know is a great fund? If anything, that should have you want to double down more on it, right? Now, you should always have an emergency fund because yes, if there is ever a true financial crisis, right? If the economy really does take a downturn and we go into a recession, then you want to make sure that you have money for any expense that may come up that you are not prepared for, or any job layoff that may happen that you are not prepared for. But remember, the purpose of these tariffs is to go ahead and bolster the economy by going ahead and creating more U.S. production and job security. Now, I don't know if this will happen, but that's where you always have to stay ahead of the game. You have to look out for yourself, and that means education. That means going ahead and making sure that you are honing your skills on whatever it is that you're doing, and always trying to soak up new material or learn new skills so that you can be a benefit to yourself. I'm a firm believer that you should not go and only do a 9 to 5 and not spend 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day working on the betterment of yourself and your family. Right? For myself, I do 12-hour shifts and I still come home and try to give an hour or two on work days, and especially off days, try to give at least 6 or 7. Why? Because future me will thank me, okay? And with you guys, I'm always preaching that. You have to be a better version of yourself every day. We all have access to knowledge, and it's up to you if you actually want to go ahead and inform yourself. I hope that videos like mine impact you more than I could ever know. Because it's videos like these that drove me to sit here in this chair and talk about something that I talk at the nurse's station all the time. It's videos like these that let me know that we are on a journey to wealth together. I hope that my video impacts you, not only from a mental standpoint, but from an emotional standpoint. I don't want you to be emotional investors. Emotional, period, okay? When you are in the stock market, when you are investing in anything, I want you to be clear-headed, okay? You guys are smart people. Don't let emotional posts from social media, news outlets that are driven to feed you into thinking that this is a great thing or a terrible thing alter your vision. Have tunnel vision on what it is you want. Go get it, and I'll see you on the next episode. I'm Marcus, and it was a pleasure talking to you all. Peace.